Hi there everyone, welcome. My best friend recently made a great comparison to me. He said Path of Exile was a lot like the fantasy book series Malazan Book of the Fallen, where you're completely thrown off the deep end at the beginning, but it's rewarding to eventually figure things out. However, it can be hard to know what to pay attention to at first in Path of Exile. I've made this video to point you in the right direction. I'm going to go section by section through the game's 10 acts and an intro to the endgame. Later sections won't make much sense to the totally new players among you, so feel free to save this video and come back to each section when it is pertinent to you. I'm going to go quickly to keep this video length short, so let's dive in. Pre-game. Get a loot filter, pick a build, optionally check a guide, and download Path of Building. Act 1. Learn how equipping gear and using skill gems works. Learn to move and kite, and how to use your flasks. Bind your left click to move only, not to attack. Pick up currencies, but don't use them yet, except at vendors. Kill all essence monsters you find trapped in blue ice. Consider whether you want to engage with the optional league mechanic that you're going to find in every single area you enter. These typically give decent rewards, but nothing earth-shattering, and some people consider it distracting to do it in every single area. Do any trials of ascendancy that you see. Focus on linked sockets, not specific gear stats. Act 2. Get your first aura skill gems. Consider a guard skill bound to left click. Upgrade your weapon, possibly using vendor recipes for it. Use the crafting bench at your hideout to add life and resist to your gear. Hideout unlocks for the first time in Act 2. Start looking for 2 stone rings at the vendor. These are the best value of resistances, and they make gearing much easier. Consider doing rudimentary crafting on gear with essences, but don't go overboard on using other currency just yet. Get a 3-linked item to hold your main skill if you haven't already. Remember, it doesn't have to be in your weapon, any gear slot will do. Get movement speed boots as well if you haven't gotten those already. Act 3. Do the library quest to unlock way more skill gems. Do the final trials of ascendancy for your first labyrinth. Optionally, you can complete the first labyrinth before the final boss of Act 3. When you do go to the labyrinth, bring a couple of life flasks with you, hopefully with bleed removal on them as a modifier. Consider the vitality aura as well. There are lots of bleeds in the lab. The labyrinth is a mini hardcore, meaning that it resets to the beginning of the lab if you die. Also in Act 3, get a primary offensive or defensive aura skill, your choice. Start looking out for a 4-linked item for your main skill. They will start dropping now. Act 4. Do your labyrinth if you didn't already in Act 3. You will ascend for the first of 4 times. Add curses and other single-target DPS help to your build. You can start expanding your use of low-level crafting currencies at this point if you've built up a stack of them. Keep looking out for a 4-link for your main skill if you haven't found one yet. Optionally, you will see old league mechanics are going to start popping up more frequently. These are going to look like new and different ways of engaging with monsters. Consider how much of any of these you're going to engage in, if any. All of them are optional. Start thinking in advance where you're going to path on the skill tree to get things you're currently weak on, since leveling does start to slow down at this point, and you don't want to have to wait too long to get the stuff you need. Act 5. Start paying serious attention to elemental resistances on your gear. Try to get them over 75% because they are about to suffer a permanent penalty soon. Learn good mechanical skills for bossing with the 2 difficult bosses that are found in this act. Learn about the useful utility flasks that start dropping in this act. New players tend to underestimate these. Act 6. Work on your resists to get them back to 75. Do Lily's quest to unlock all gems. Spend some time setting up your build there. Look for Trials of Ascendancy to start appearing again for your second lab. You'll only need 3 this time. Start looking for the reawakened gods. They offer minor power boosts and a skill point for killing them. Act 7. There's not much new here. Keep killing the optional gods. Get the 3rd of the new Ascendancy trials. Optionally, ascend for the 2nd time before the Act 7 boss. Lament the stupid maze layout of the Vol Ruins area. Act 8. Keep doing what you're doing. Start looking for the 3rd set of Ascendancy trials. Consider starting to care about which defensive mechanic your gear has on it, typically prioritizing armor or evasion, depending on your build. Match it up with your primary defensive aura, grace or determination. Act 9. If your build isn't running the various gem setups you're supposed to have in place by the end of the acts, consider fixing that now, since there isn't much else to do in Act 9 outside of the quests. Act 10, the shortest of the acts, and the final one in this game's tutorial section. The campaign. Don't finish Act 10 without overcapping your resistances again because another penalty is coming. For the same reason, do your third labyrinth before the final boss, because it's a lot harder once your resistances take that hit at the end of the campaign. Consider starting to keep unidentified items in your stash for the vendor chaos recipe. Look that up. Chaos orbs are the primary currency you'll need in Trade League. And that is the end of the campaign. Starting the mapping system at endgame. Get your 2 skill points from Lani and use the /passives chat command to check for any others you may have missed. Get your resist back up to 75 and get your life up to at least 3000 to start maps. Complete different types of maps. The keys to opening new types of maps will drop when you are in an adjacent map on the Atlas of Worlds. Work your way up the Atlas in increasing difficulty, hunting for various endgame bosses. Don't get bogged down doing every single League mechanic in every map. Focus on map completion for now, only doing or researching League mechanics that seem particularly interesting to you. When your ability to complete maps starts to drop off, go back to lower difficulty maps and pick a farming strategy to make a bit of currency and upgrade your build. Priority upgrades are the aforementioned stats of life and resists, followed by a 5, then a 6-link body armor with life and resists. Also, a decent weapon. The decent weapon and the 6-link will do on offense for now, but later follow-up steps include a level 21 gem for your main damage skill and continuing to get better weapons. The next defensive steps are further increasing your life and getting secondary defensive layers like spell suppression, life regeneration, raised resistance cap, block, etc. Remember to be using your utility flasks constantly when their effects end. Save up currency to enchant these flasks to auto-cast. Save yourself the trouble. When you are comfortably into yellow maps, aka maps that are tiers 9 or higher, it's time to consider your 4th and final labyrinth for this character. And that should be enough to get you started. There is plenty more to understand after that, plenty of other videos to make and watch. This is just the beginning. But if you start with these tips, you'll be alright. So thanks for tuning in, and take it easy.